What's up? I'm here on camera. There we go. Look at that. Welcome to the Nielsen ratings. I'm still a little bit under the weather. I have this dry cough, which is lingering, trying to kill me. But I'm going to be here on camera some of the time today and welcoming my main co-host for the Nielsen ratings, Stupenzo.
Yo.
What's up?
How's it going? It snowed over here. Had a bunch of snow.
It snowed?
Yeah, it's pretty rare out here.
I thought you were you not in Texas?
I'm in East Texas, and there's like several inches of snow. It's a
Damn,
Christmas miracle.
I thought it was kind of like illegal to snow in Texas.
West Texas and the Panhandle, but yeah, I don't know.
Talking of illegal activity, the man from beyond the northern wall. It's
Hello, you beautiful bastards. Me, Enzo, Blood Collar and Toxic, and Dudicus have just come back from the very dark, murky Sin City.
Oh, yeah. Did you just do a stream on that?
Yes, we did.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know who's calling me right now? Look, it's Critical Drinker. Typical.
Put him on
answer
speaker.
the phone, man.
Hang on.
Tell him he's live. Tell him he's live on the air.
Will, you're live on the Nielsen ratings because you just called me just as I started.
Okay.
Everyone
on the Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, I'm here with I'm here with the Inside Man, Lord of Toxicity, Stupenzo, and Northern English Bastard. So well timed. Actually, the reason I was calling, funnily enough, was because my interview 100's coming up soon, and I wanted to do a reunion of interview number 1. So I was hoping we can arrange that, but we'll sort it out some other time.
Okay, cool. Message me the dates and stuff, and then we can get something arranged.
Wicked. All right. Well, I wanted to work around your availability because I know I've probably got more flexibility than you at the minute. So anyway, let you get off air. Do you know what? I knew you were going to call as soon as we went live. It's quite funny. All right.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, you caught me in the middle of a call earlier with one of the Kickstarter backers, so I had to reject it.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. By the way, have you seen the film Outland with Sean Connery?
A long time ago. I know you guys are covering it tonight because I saw you mention it on Twitter.
Yeah,
I remember it being quite decent. It was like a kind of space western.
Northern English Bastard has just watched it. We're going to get into it. Yeah, so I'd be interested to hear your views. You should watch it again.
I should, yeah. I meant to say as well, thank you for recommending Lockerbie. That show is excellent. Colin Firth is superb in it.
Yeah, was good.
Yeah, I did not know all the details of what went on there and what was covered up, so it was very interesting.
Yeah, and there's a different series coming with a slightly different take on it also this year with Tony Curran in the show. So there you go. And that's coming at it from a different angle. So so chat's going crazy. Lots of people saying hello to you.
Hello to chat.
Anyway, all right. Well, look, we'll let you go away now, but I'll call you tomorrow. We'll speak tomorrow.
All right,
mate. Take care. Bye. All right. So possibly one of the few people I'll put on speaker who will call him and Jason typically. So welcome the rest of the panel. We've got Tox. We've got the Inside Man.
Evening.
How's everyone doing?
Very well, thank you. Good to hear you're on the mend.
Yeah, you sound better. You sound better. A little bit of coughing aside, Lance. You sound a lot better, bud.
I am still coughing, and I have also still got some shortness of breath, but I'm definitely better than I was.
But Lance's libido is as strong as ever.
God bless him.
Unfortunately, no. I have no libido whatsoever. So that hasn't existed for some months now. So sorry to disappoint you. If we're in a prison situation, Tox, who knows? But fortunately, we're not. Just going to say hello to some people in the chat. We've got Aaron in there. We've got Nick's. Good to see you. We've got the Proctor File. We've got Wormy Spoons in the chat. So Drew Gordon is here. Inside Man, if you read the chat, curious why when you were reviewing Violent City last week, you had a poor opinion of Bronson as a person.
Oh, yeah. It was
you told that story though.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, it was a personal kind of meeting with him and everything. He wasn't particularly pleasant to me as a young.
I've heard other people who've had unpleasant experiences with. But let's not talk ill of the dead because he's
no.
Beyond Real Talk is here. Andrew Musgrave is in the house. All right, so as this is a bit of an Outland special, we're gonna. Or do you want to talk about Outlander, Northern?
Yeah, we can talk about that for a while. And it was the first time I'd seen that film. I'd been meaning to watch it for a while, and I really do like the look of it. I like the sense of isolation it gives off. I mean, you really do feel like you're away from home. You know, you're trapped in this very enclosed space that's surrounded by all these people that don't want to be there. And there's a lot of dodgy things going on. And Sean Connery is really great as he's basically like a security guard who was kind of caught up.
He's a marshal.
He's like a marshal. Yeah, he's basically the only honest guy caught up in this big conspiracy that's where everyone's basically being drugged and it's driving them crazy. It's killing them. Everything. It's very violent, but you can really tell there's a lot of stuff nicked from Alien as well. But
loads of stuff nicked from Alien.
Yeah. I can tell some of the sets really do look like they've taken. It's like they took it right off Alien, then moved it onto their own sets. But I still like it. I love it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would got bits out of a skip and repurposed it.
They were actually bulldozed and dumped long before Outland.
Because Alien was 79, so it was probably filming in 78.
It was filming in 78. Yeah.
Yeah, and Outland was an 81 release, so it would have been 1980.
I definitely like to think that this movie takes place in the same universe.
Yeah, that's funny enough. I said exactly the same thing to Northern actually the other day.
Space truckers.
It does have the same aesthetic, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah. Well, there is some like chemicals that was actually the same brand that apparently was used in Terminator 2.
Omnimet polyalloy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Well, like that. Anyway, I know there was like a barrel of chemicals that's in Terminator 2, and it was the same kind of label that was used in Outland. I think James Cameron can probably establish it more in the commentary. But
Lance, when I was a little baby toxic, I saw this on a Friday night double feature on HBO. Alien.
Baby toxic. I don't know why that vision sends chills. Well, what was the other movie?
Alien. It was Alien.
Oh, Alien and Outland. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool double bill.
My dad thought so.
Especially he says, "Hey, baby, you're gonna watch this. Someone's chest is gonna explode. You're gonna love it."
Well, you don't get an exploded head at the beginning, so
yeah.
Even the music sounds very similar to Alien. I think one of you mentioned it, like they just reversed the notes.
It was Jerry Goldsmith.
Jerry Goldsmith.
He made a little bit of a confession at one point, and was talking about the soundtrack for Outland, and he said that he was struggling to find an actual theme, although a lot of the instruments and pretty much the same orchestra, it was all recorded in the same studio and everything. But when he was doing this, he struggled to find this theme, and he took his notes from the Alien theme, and he reversed them. So if you listen to it, you can hear the reverse notes. I mean, they're not, obviously it's not been recorded in reverse, but it's been played, reverse the notes on the page for the orchestra to play. But and one of the things that I noticed, because I watched this again last night in preparation for this, in the soundtrack, if you listen closely to some little cues in the soundtrack, it actually does sound like James Horner has directly lifted chunks of this for the Aliens score as well.
Yeah, I noticed that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Drew Gordon's just made a nice point. Outland has cool production values, but the plot of sci-fi is really bad, in my opinion. Android with Klaus Kinski and Saturn III with Kirk Douglas are arguably better, but worse looking. I'm gonna have to give those films a look at. So yeah, they sound very.
Saturn 3's interesting. Saturn 3's an interesting.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I think the plot for Outland is fine. It's basically High Noon in outer space.
Yes, exactly.
That's a perfect description.
It's a Western in outer space. One of the things that's really great is if you watch this movie now, you really appreciate the fantastic miniature work, like the massive model of the base, which was huge, absolutely huge model. The whole sequence of the shuttle coming into land, all of that tension is built up really well. I do think the ending could have been a little bit better. I watched the film again today, and do you know one of the things I forgot was it's Razors from the Long Good Friday is one of the hitmen.
P.H. Moriarty.
Yes. Hatchet Harry from Lock, Stock.
Yeah, P.H. Moriarty, whom I've met. And my friend Annie Domingo is also in this film. The young black lady in it. She did this movie. We had a long conversation about Outland. But yeah, so it's a good film with flaws, but I like. I mean, the cast are great because you've got James B. Seeking in there as well, who we just lost a few weeks ago, who was in Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman, and I think, funnily enough, I think Jerry Goldsmith also did the score for Narrow Margin. You know,
don't forget Peter Boyle as well, who's
Peter Boyle,
proper sleazy scumbag in this one, but he plays it well. He does.
And Frances Sternhagen, who played the old doctor, who, you know, looked like the grandma in 1981. She only passed away in 2023.
Wow.
So yeah,
good for her.
Yeah, so she had a ripe old life. This is the UK cinema record for the film that's up now.
Were you working at the cinema when this was out, Lance, or no?
No, I was not, because I remember when this came out, I was annoyed that I was too young to go and see it. I saw it on video. It was a video rental, and I saw it on video in probably around 84. I'm going to say 83, maybe. Soon after it came out, it was one of those that, you know, it was like me and Paul straight away. Oh yeah, you know, must rent this. But I think it really suffered from the first time viewing for me not being on the big screen. If I'd seen it in the cinema, I would have rated it far more highly. The action on a TV set felt small, you know.
Yeah, because you've got that big confrontation where he's taking on one of his employees as well, and you can really see the full scale of the model and they look like tiny ants when they're falling down it, and I could probably see it looking really spectacular on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, if they did a screening of this at the Prince Charles, and I think they have, but I've missed them because they did a Peter Hyams season at the Prince Charles a couple of years ago, and I made sure I went to go and see Capricorn 1, which on the big screen was absolutely fantastic. This was on a few weeks later, but I couldn't do both of them. I could only do Capricorn 1. Yeah, on the big screen, I'm sure it would have been a lot better. So yeah, and director Peter Hyams was due to come on and give me an interview, actually, and had it confirmed, and he got poorly, and I haven't been able to rebook him since. So I hope he's in good health, but I don't know. So it may be that I might get him on in 2025. We'll
nice.
That'd
be quite the interview.
Well, yeah, Ron Underwood and I talk about him in the Ron Underwood interview quite a bit, because Ron Underwood's first job was working on Capricorn 1, which was also directed by Peter Hyams. So this is the trailer that you've got playing now. I remember seeing this. There's a TV spot that was on TV when this movie was coming out, and I remember seeing that and going to my parents. Oh, I want to go and see it, and it was a AA. So you had to be 16 or over to go and watch it. So it was like no way I was going to be allowed to see it.
What do they call rated R movies in the UK? What is that?
Well, they're called 18s now, but back then they were called X. You had Certificate U, you had PG, AA.
PG didn't exist. It was A, wasn't it?
Oh, A. Thank you.
Yeah.
A. Yeah, you had U, A, AA, and and X, and then they got rid of X because X kind of came with a porno connotation, which cinema distributors started to become quite unhappy about. X Certificate sort of had a sleazy thing attached to it, which filmmakers were not very happy about, understandably so. So what's going on with that? That guy looked like Ben Stiller with the baseball cap on.
A little bit.
Curly hair. Yeah.
I couldn't believe John Ratzenberger was in this movie.
Yeah, that's right, from Cheers.
Yeah, you gotta set those pipes for karaoke.
I didn't know Grover was in the film. You've got Stephen Burkoff is one of the first guys that dies as well. He's one of the first people that goes.
Yeah, because he's a very well-established actor. He's been in a few. He had already been in a few films, and he would later do well with Beverly Hills Cop. But yeah, it's only a small role though. But he really does play it out.
He was this was when he just started doing films. He was big with the National Theatre at the time.
One of the things I love about Stephen Burkoff is that although he does enjoy making films, he makes films to finance his theatre projects.
That's it, exactly. Yeah,
and he just loves acting. I mean, particularly, I think he's done an awful lot of Chekhov. He's quite sort of obsessed with Chekhov, and that's all he does. He just finances all of his theatre projects with his movie money, and good luck to him. He's great. I love him. I absolutely love this guy.
Yeah.
Peter Hyams does not get enough. I'm sorry.
Even if it's just hired to be the British villain, he still gives it.
Tox, you were going to say Peter Hyams doesn't get
enough credit.
Praise. I think you're right.
He's made some of my favorite movies, and it's not a director that I mean, maybe for you because you're a little more sophisticated with knowing directors and screenwriters and stuff like that, but like it's not something that instantly pops into my head. But I'm looking through his CV here: End of Days, The Relic, Time Cop, Narrow Margin, Presidio, Running Scared's one of my favorite buddy cop movies.
We've done a stream on Running Scared on this channel. I've got.
Did you? I gotta look it up.
I've got the vinyl soundtrack behind me. We did two cop buddy movies together, Running Scared and another one I forget.
God, and did Time Cop as well. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, he's done some so-so films as well. That like, I mean, Sudden Death with Van Damme it's not a great movie.
Agreed.
The Presidio as well with Sean
Presidio.
Presidio was okay.
It was a fun movie. It was fun.
Connery's good in it, but I don't think the plot it's not the best script. But then he's got, I mean, any director that can say they've got 5 or 6 outstanding films or favorite films, because I'd say Capricorn 1, Outland. I like 2010, the year we make contact. I think that film is massively underrated. Yeah, I'm glad Drinker did a Drinker Recommends on it. Running Scared, Narrow Margin, and Time Cop. I quite like Relic, and I quite like End of Days. They're sort of films with lots of good things, but also with flaws. But
didn't Galen Hurd produce Relic as well?
Yes,
he did. Galen Hurd did. Yeah, we talked about it on the interview. I think
that's another good one to put in the queue for consider the source, book versus film.
Oh yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So yeah, I do you know what? When I rewatched Outland, I had seen it. I've got it on DVD, and I'd seen it probably about 6 years ago. I think me and my ex sat down to watch it. This is a film I enjoy more each time I watch it. I appreciate the build up of suspense, and there's a lot more going on in the plot than I think people give it credit for. Yeah, I think it's good. Dead Gamer 13, not seen you in the chat before. Welcome to the channel, mate. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, so what would people give it out of 10 is the question. Probably an 8.5 from me. I think I've given it 8 on IMDb before. Northern, it was your pick for this week, so I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's not perfect, and there probably are better noirist sci-fis out there, but it's still very competently made, and Connery is reliable as always. Mostly all the actors are still very reliable.
Yeah,
I'd say of sci-fis that are a very, very heavy nod to the Western genre, this is one of the best. I can think of several others, but whether I would say they're better than Outland, I don't know. Maybe Battle Beyond the Stars, because that's just so rewatchable under any circumstances. Yeah, there's only one running scared worth talking about, the 80s version with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, not the 50 Cent version or whoever. Yeah, so RRTNZ gives it 8 out of 10, but Grumpy Drew Gordon only gives it a 6. What does the rest of my panel think? Stupenzo.
Probably 7. Serviceable. Not very high on the rewatchability factor, but pretty good. Pretty darn good.
Inside Man.
I'd probably say a 9, to be honest with you. It's one that I do go back to. And probably the reason for giving this a 9 is almost certainly because I did see this on the big screen upon its release.
Yeah.
And it did blow me away. And I'd already seen Alien on pirate video, sort of way back upon its release, and then a decent copy of Alien, and it did feel like it was in the same universe. And obviously we have, the miniature guys are the same miniature crew that worked on Alien. We also have John Mollo, the costume designer, who also worked on Alien, designed all the suits, the space suits and everything, as well as all the insignia. So if you look at the insignia, they look very similar to the Nostromo insignia on the uniforms of the crew of the Nostromo. But also the sets and everything, it does feel like it's in the same universe. And it is one that does have rewatchability for me. So I do like it. So hence I'm scoring at 9.
Okay. Fantastic. Tox.
I'll give it a 9 for nostalgic. I may rewatch it here again pretty soon, but I remember seeing it on cable and having a good time watching it with my dad. And I think the concept is pretty freaking cool. A federal marshal out in outer space. I think that's pretty dope concept. Good ideas. I mean, maybe it steals a little bit from Alien, but I mean, hey, if you're gonna steal from something, Aliens, I mean, you could do a lot worse than it.
I think the only thing it steals is somebody somewhere said, let's go for the same gritty, real aesthetic as Alien. Let's put this in that universe. I'm sure someone said that.
Yeah,
they do look very it does have a very working man look to it. I mean, everything looks like industrialized. From the
I did look at the production designer's CV, and it's not the same guy that worked on Alien, but he went on to do several projects with Peter Hyams. So
I give it a 9.
He did Hanover Street right before this, where he would have worked with Alan Tompkins.
Good little film there.
So yeah, that's a film that when I watched it later in life, I kind of appreciated it more. Yeah, cheers, Dead Gamer. Well, welcome to the stream, buddy. We review both old and new stuff every Tuesday on the Nielsen ratings, and we try and mainly recommend things. However, there is an exception this week because I've got a film I want to have a bit of a bitch about. But before that, Enzo, what on earth is this picture you sent me? Enzo, what's this thing you sent me on Facebook? Okay, he's currently not.
Baby toxic.
Okay. All right. So, in case anyone wonders what I'm talking about, it's this. There we go. Baby toxic. So this is an actual photograph of Toxic at 2 years of age, watching the double bill of Alien and Outland. Okay, cool.
Yep. With a loaded pistol and bad trigger discipline when I was a kid. I really can't excuse that. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite toilet trained or trigger discipline trained. I apologize.
Yeah. Dead Gamers. I'm very into the sets and models. Don't know if you saw me on camera earlier, but I've got a whole load of Thunderbird stuff behind me in the cabinet.
Toxic got the trigger training before he got the potty training, honestly.
As you do.
He still wears diapers from time to time.
I might have one on right
now.
now.
Long streams, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way I can. That's the only way I can do it.
There's also this photograph where he broke into a film studio and was running around set just before he was caught.
Yeah.
So,
well, reminds me of my uncle's last words. Don't Toxic. That gun is loaded.
Okay, moving on. Okay, so sometimes you just want to chuck on a film to sort of like veg when you're nodding off and you're not looking for anything too demanding. So I thought I'm going to chuck this on because this looks like that sort of thing. And this is on Netflix. I don't know if it's a Netflix original.
I know what it's going to be. Can I guess before you show it? Can I guess?
Well, let me say a few more things and then let's see if you. And I thought this will probably be all right. And after sort of about 25 minutes in, I was thinking like, this film feels really badly misjudged. And not only that, it's also extremely unfunny at the expense of the people in it. Toxic, what's your guess?
I guess I'm willing to bet it's the thing my girlfriend made me watch yesterday. Is it Back in Action with Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz?
No, I haven't watched that yet. It's Champions with Woody Harrelson.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
This is basically I mean, the story is, it's been done on about 5 other movies. He's a coach he was a coach that was heading to stardom. He got into some difficulties. He was doing a second-rate coaching job with not a Premier League basketball team. Got into it with he was the assistant coach, got into it with his coach, ended up punching him. And so he's in court. And basically it's the choice between prison or going and working at a special needs centre, teaching these kids basketball. And that's all well and good. I mean, I worked on a camp, summer camp. It was called Kids with LD, they called it back then, which stood for Learning Disabled. I don't know if that's a term that's still used in the States. I suspect because back then was 1988, probably not. But I mean, it's just like they make all of the characters, like one of them is, they're trying to make them just like any other regular person. All the different people in the team, like one of them's a complete nerd. The other one just constantly keeps talking about his girlfriend and where they've had sex and all this kind of thing. And, another one of them will have a different trait, but it tries so hard. And I just thought, and I don't know. And then there's all these sort of, jokes at their expense. And I mean, what do you expect with something directed by the Farrelly brothers? But it just didn't land. So I got about halfway into it, and I could not watch any more of it. Has anyone else seen it?
No.
No, thank you.
I think Tyler Wolf saw this last year and he was liking it. He said he liked it, but this is Bobby Farrelly, so it's like not the Farrelly brothers. This is Bobby Farrelly doing his post a green book. I don't know. He's trying to make like serious movies. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm all for having a kid with a movie with a large number of disabled actors, especially getting them in there as part of the plot. And I actually thought this is going to be really good, but it just didn't work for me. I'd be curious to hear other people's thoughts on it. Sorry, for me, it's a 4 out of 10. Beyond Real Talk thought it was average.
No, it gets a DNF. Did not finish.
Yeah, did not. And it's rare for me not to finish a film, has to be said. Anyway, we won't spend any more time on that one. Of other new releases, however, Toxic and I checked out something. That is a show that is, I think it's an Amazon. I don't know if it's an Amazon original, but it is Amazon.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
The slides are down below if you want them.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll get to them in a sec. So this is On Call. It's from the creators of Law and Order. It's Dick Wolf and co. And it's like a sort of high octane day in the life of 2 cops. Some well-worn tropes, the seasoned veteran, which is the lady, is kind of going through some personal trauma because of the death of somebody who trained under her. She's allocated the new rookie. All of these things we've kind of seen before. Yeah. What makes the show a little bit different, and I think puts it above average, are 2 things. One is because all police are wearing body cameras now. This show, I would say probably about 30 to 40% of any episode is the POV from the camera, and that's kind of slightly different. Just enough of it to make it interesting, not too much of it. And the other thing that really sells it is the cast. The actors in this are all first class. Really like the 2 leads, particularly the woman. So I watched like one, and I thought, this is after Champions. I was like, sod this. Let me go on to Amazon. Let me see if I can find something else. I put this on, and I thought, okay, I'll put this on. And I started nodding off, and then I was like really into it, and I was like, I watched 3 in a row. So there you go. So much for going to bed early. So so I'll give my rating on it in a sec. But Tox, I was particularly wanted you to watch it because, of course, you're an ex law enforcement officer. So I was keen to get your take.
Yeah. I when I saw that, 2 things right off the rip, and one of them's a spoiler, so I can't really. I don't. Without your permission, I don't want to say. But 2 things bugged me right off the bat. The first being that the main lead, she's a Nepo baby. She's the kid of Donald P. Belisario, who I'm sure everybody, I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence. Everyone knows who that is. And so I was like,
he's a massive producer of TV shows, right?
Yeah.
That's the guy. Yeah.
So, and then I didn't know the rookie kid, and I was like, man, I don't know about this. It looked like a watered down version of Southland, but I told the girlfriend, I was like, you made me suffer through that Jamie Foxx Cameron Diaz movie. You're gonna watch some of this with me and give me some. You're gonna give me some. Well, don't go further. Oh, all right.
What's going on? Okay, I don't know who that gorgeous woman is, but we'll come back to that.
Oh God.
Anyway.
That is Lori Loughlin right there. She plays the lieutenant. It's just pretty good job too.
And she was done in that Scandal, wasn't she? She was.
Yeah, I think this is her first big thing after that Scandal.
And I think that's the arsehole from Coming to America. Is that it?
That is Eric LaSalle. Yeah,
it is.
Eric LaSalle.
Eric LaSalle is predominantly now a director for Dick Wolf's Productions,
right. And in this as well. and in this as well. He plays
he directs the
So
pilot
good.
and I think a couple of other episodes.
Yeah, he plays the tactical sergeant in the squad. It's in, they moved it away from places, the generic places like New York and Los Angeles. They've gone out to Long Beach. Long Beach is basically,
South LA.
Yeah. So you get more diversity, and the thing, I went ahead and I finished all 8 episodes, and I was not worse off for it. I liked it a lot. I was shocked how much I liked it. I couldn't stop watching it, and I think mostly it's the chemistry between the 2 leads. She's definite, whether she is or she isn't a nepo baby is irrelevant, because she is a great actress. I've never seen her in anything else. I hope that they get another season. I hope she does other stuff. She's good. The kid is good. I don't know him either. Lance, maybe you do, and you've seen him in something.
I've seen him in a couple of things. I mean, she, I don't know if you pronounce the name Trojan or Trojan, but
well, I called her by her last name because I could not even attempt her name.
Baby Belisario. Yeah, I mean, okay,
Thanks.
So you could argue, she's got where she has because of the nepotism or whatever, but the girl can act. Absolutely, the girl can act. I remember her in Pretty Little Liars, and she was okay in that. But here, she's
okay.
She knows her shit. She knows what she's doing here.
Yeah, she's not one. She's a very tiny woman, but she doesn't look. She doesn't look out of place with her weapon. In fact, she's got a tricked out Glock, with optics and stuff on it, and I'm like, and a double stack mag, and I'm like, okay, so she's serious, and she's a training officer to this young kid. He's coming on. He's a hard charger, running and gunning. He's got a kind of a sad backstory. Got family in the pokey. She's got a sad backstory. She's got a sister, and it was cool to see Abby Trammell pop in again. I've been in love with her since she was on The Shield. She pops in and playing the sister role, and it's got a good tight narrative throughout the season. They've got this thing going on, this murder of a fellow cop that happens right in the very first few minutes of the episode, which is a little shocking to people who are familiar with Dick Wolf main players. And then it kind of follows after that. The officer that was murdered was Baby Belisario's trainee. She gets a new trainee with this kid. There's something, maybe she did something and got some police officers kicked off the force. You find out later what the incident was, and it's based off a real life incident that actually happened a couple years ago, where a sergeant choked out after threatening a suspect who was already handcuffed, was pulled back and then wound up choking a subordinate female officer, and they worked that into the show, which I thought was pretty cool. And so I don't really know what else to say about it. I can answer any questions, but yeah, it's just a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, the reason I'm always interested in kind of the level of authenticity with any cop show, and I'm a big fan of cop shows. I mean, and particularly the ones that feel real. In fact, I would say after The Shield, my next favorite one would be Southland.
Yep, Southland's great. Southland is great.
Yeah, really liked Southland, and this kind of felt like a sort of miniature Southland. It felt like the narrative and the world was a lot smaller, simply because we weren't juggling so many characters. It's the world of these 2 guys and the people around them.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it's the world of 8 people connected to one station or whatever.
I felt a real vibe of did you see End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
I felt a very End of Watch vibe from this, especially the gimmick of utilizing the body cams that they do, and just you got the 2 main characters in the car a lot. There's a lot of that, and it kind of puts you in the vein of the police work due to the fact that there's like a lot of boring, and then bam, something crazy happens, and you're like, oh my god, and it just it rocks you, and as it does to the characters. And there's a big toll that it takes on a lot of the characters. It's not that polished up romanticized version that is The Rookie, and I'm not saying anything against The Rookie. The Rookie's a fine show, but The Rookie really kind of makes it look like it's fun, even it's like theme song that pops on after something wacky happens in the opening credits, then they have that kind of cool upbeat thing.
Do you mean this theme song? Probably not.
No. But you know, where Rookie is kind of fun and cute, and you got romances and, you know, like little adventures of the week. This is a real, like I said, a tight narrative. They're looking for one guy throughout most of this series, and then the repercussions of that, and it shows the legality. It also very smartly shows what's actually going on in the world today, dealing with, you know, everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got a lawyer, there's accountability for the things that you do or don't do.
Yeah.
There's the stuff that happen, you know, you can't just, it's gunfights have consequences, even arrests have consequences. It felt very real to me. And I mean, also, you know, they didn't shy away from the homeless problem. You had the whole thing with them going into the homeless camp. So yeah, I give the show overall, I haven't seen all the episodes yet. I've seen it up to I've seen the episode up to where the main story thread gets resolved. That okay
one.
That's like 6, I think. That might be 5 or 6.
Yeah, so I think I've seen the first 6, but I give the show overall, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Some episodes would be 9 out of 10.
Okay.
But the episodes are quite short. I think they're like 35 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, if they weren't, I wouldn't have been able to finish it. But yeah, I started it.
It's really punchy. It's like very no fat on it at all. So
none. Yeah, no.
So that's a strong recommendation from me and Toxic. New show on Amazon now. Good one for you to put on before you're going to bed if you want like a half hour, but you probably will end up watching 3 or 4 of them. So just be prepared. Yeah, good. All right. Thanks. Stupenzo's got a couple of golden oldies that he wants to recommend us. And
you want to hear about the good one or the not as good one first?
Well, you said that Inside Man wanted some new hair tips, so I thought we'd go with Baps first.
Yeah, I watched Black American Princesses, Baps, starring Halle Berry and Martin Landau.
You've
got a bunch of other people's.
Ian Richardson at the back there. That's from the guy from House of Cards.
Yeah,
1997.
He's the butler that they keep calling Alfred, even though his name is something else. Fun movie. Basically, you've got these 2 waitresses who work at a diner. They're very ratchet, ghetto booty type ladies. Halle Berry wearing gold teeth and ridiculous hair, and they're going to LA, Beverly Hills, to try to audition to be background dancers in rap music videos, and that doesn't work out. But what does happen is they get enlisted by some guy who's the nephew of some billionaire who's dying, and it's all some scheme, some scam to get his riches, because apparently this guy had some kind of love relationship with some woman, some African-American woman, and they're pretending to be this woman's granddaughters.
Bernie Mac, look at that.
Yep, he's in it briefly. But yeah, it's just a super silly 90s African-American exploitation fun movie. Just doesn't take itself seriously at all in a good way.
In the same sort of vein as House Party and Friday.
Narrative wise,
it's interesting because like these chicks slowly start getting out of the ghetto booty mentality. They start they ditch the gold teeth and the bling, and they start becoming more and more down to earth and realize like they actually like this old guy, and they don't want his money. They don't want to be using him for schemes and scams, and by doing that, they
just like in real life. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Well, they end up inheriting all of his money anyway, so
right.
That works.
Spoiler.
Out, I guess.
It's kind of like narrative. It's like 90s version of Disorderlies from the 80s. Think of that. Pretty close to that.
What happened to Natalie Desselle Reid, who was in this? Because I don't remember seeing her in much else.
No, in fact, I didn't know who she was. She's the other Black American princess.
Yeah.
She's the fat one that can cook. There's a great scene where Martin Landau, he's
Oh,
like got
dude,
ailments.
she passed away at 53.
Yeah.
That's why
Well,
we haven't seen her.
Yeah, there's a scene where Martin Landau's eating all this bland health food, and this lady has a problem with that. She goes back in the kitchen and makes him some soul food, and you know what they say about soul food. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. So
bad for the soul.
It's delicious, but
it is delicious.
It's good for the soul, bad for the body. So
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to her.
She had 25 acting credits, was in the Medea films, like Medea's Big Happy Family and those kind of things. Did an episode of VR, but her main thing was she played Janie Eggins on a TV show called Eve. She was in 66 episodes of that.
Huh.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
one of those 25 acting credits was for 66 episodes.
Well, wow. Well, this is I mean, for sure a stupid movie. I'm sure Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 big thumbs down.
Negative.
But I enjoyed it. It was stupid.
But far more cultured and informed reviewers here. What are you guys going to give it out of 10? Those of you, I have seen it, but it was such a long time ago. I couldn't give it a rating today.
I'd give it a 5. It's fun and stupid, but it's definitely an acquired taste. And Halle Berry, God, man, she's such a babe.
Oh man, I'd like, and she keeps like getting single again, and I keep waving at her, but it's not happening.
Even when she plays this like extremely obnoxious, stereotypical type character, it's like she's still, you can tell she's having fun.
Yeah, good old Ian Richardson and Martin Landau as well in this. Jonathan Fried. Okay. All right, 5 out of 10. Toxic, what would you give it? You remember it?
I do remember it. Yeah, it was one of those that I watched back in the 90s and had the great tagline, "We live in large and take in charge, big boy." And I watched it with the ex-wife, and she hated it, as she hates all things that are anything related to blaxploitation. But I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny. I had a couple good chuckles out of it. Like I said, it's like Disorderlies. Give it a 5. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, 5 out of 10. Okay. All right. 2 5s out of 10. All right. And then you also wanted to talk about Perfect World with
Clint Eastwood directed a movie called The Perfect World. I'd never seen it.
What a great movie.
It's very underrated.
Really good. Kevin Costner kidnapped some little boy in the 60s, running around Austin country area, and Clint Eastwood is the sheriff who's supposed to get him. He's like a prisoner, escaped prisoner. But yeah, the movie was pretty, it was a good metaphor about, Kevin Costner kind of coming to terms with his lost childhood by basically kidnapping, kind of himself, really. I mean, but it's some little kid, and they go on a little venture together, basically as buds, there's no like a, paternal thing or going on. It's just like you got an older guy who's your friend, and nothing weird or Pizzagate-ish going on in the movie, which was appreciated.
He becomes like a very unlikely father figure to him, doesn't he?
Yeah. If this scenario happened in real life today, this definitely wouldn't go wrong at all.
Kevin Costner definitely has this, like, he was like leading man material at the time, and he's got great chemistry with the kid. And Clint Eastwood is like Clint Eastwood's technically the bad guy, but technically he's the good guy, but actually he's the bad guy, chasing them, ruining the boys' fun, going across the country. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, the guy, he escapes prison. He's got this crazy plan to get to Alaska. Like, that's not going to happen. He knows that's not going to happen. It's just kind of like, they just kind of run around out in the Texas country for a couple days.
Yeah, I never saw Clint Eastwood's character as a bad guy. Maybe the other guy who works with him, because he's a bit trigger happy, isn't he? He's like,
oh right, yeah.
But I thought Clint Eastwood was just a guy doing his job. That's it. A kid's missing. Cost has got to track down the guy.
True. He's the antagonist, though. He's the one they're all running from. But yeah, it was a fun movie. It was really well made, and yeah, it had this great it's a 90s movie, but it's like one of those like the last movies to have that kind of 80s look to it, the way it's filmed and the way it's shot. It's got this very 80s vibe. Early 90s, 90s are transitioning out of the 80s into the 90s, they're stylistically. But also just a really it's like it's kind of a 2-hour movie, but it's a quaint film. There's not a whole lot going on. Not a big budget movie. It's pretty reserved, and I liked it. It's all just character studies and stuff. Good stuff.
I remember when it came out, it bombed, if I remember rightly. Yeah, certainly over here it did. And I remember when I went to see it at the cinema, and this is in the days when, 1993 we're talking. Friday, Saturday night is a busy cinema affair. And also Costner was riding high at the time. But I think I think this was before Waterworld. It wasn't Waterworld like 95, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But for whatever reason, this movie just didn't land with people that on its release, because I remember the cinema being virtually empty, and I was quite surprised. You got two big names, Eastwood, Costner. You're not going to see in a film very often. I guess maybe people just didn't like the, hey, it's about someone kidnapping a kid narrative.
Well, I think it's more Lance. I mean, despite the kind of the favor that this particular panel has on this show, people don't like those bummer 70s style endings. Those kind of, they want a happy ending all wrapped up in a bow, and people just weren't, and I don't know if you want to spoil the ending or whatever, but they weren't prepared to see that. And
don't get to Alaska. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I would say it was also pretty marketed heavily as more of like a action drama instead of this kind of like,
Costner was still riding high off of he was still riding high off of Unforgiven. It just didn't, it definitely didn't. I didn't see it until it came out on HBO, and
this would be like a follow up for Unforgiven, and in that terms, it's probably a letdown because Unforgiven is definitely better. But,
because it cost 30 million to make. It made 31 million between the States and Canada, but it didn't gross. It didn't go into profit until it went overseas, and I think it did better probably did well in France and places like that, but I don't think it did particularly well in the UK from what I remember.
I think and also it's typical when you make like a really good movie and then the studio's like, come back and we'll give you carte blanche and blank check and make whatever you want, and usually that film that those filmmakers make tends to not be as good.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think this film is worth watching. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. It grossed 135 million worldwide, Andrew. It grossed only 31 million in the UK and Canada. That's the worldwide gross. So only just making even on your budget in the home counties is not considered a success. So I mean, it still was a successful film, but maybe not the success they were hoping for. But yeah, I'd recommend it. Ratings out of 10, please, gentlemen.
I'd give it an 8. It's a pretty endearing movie, fun.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd give it a 7. I like it. I just don't love it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's not got a great rewatch value.
No.
But you can certainly appreciate things like the acting and the photography and stuff like that. It's got quite a nice score, and But yeah, it's not a great rewatch. That's why I never purchased it. Very good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I give it a solid 7, maybe even a 7.5, just because I don't mind, bummer endings. It doesn't bother me. probably don't rewatch. The rewatchability isn't great, and that's how I score a lot of films. Kevin Costner's character Butch is basically, if my dad was a little nicer, would be kind of Kevin Costner's character in this film. So, you know, whatever that's worth.
Okay. So basically, if you want to see what Toxic's dad was like, then check
On
it
a
out.
good day. Yeah, on a good day, then it's Kevin Costner.
On the basis that there's a facsimile of your dad in it, Drew Gordon and Aaron are prepared to give it 10 out of 10, even though they've never seen it.
Damn.
But they've secretly messaged me that that's the reason. So,
Oh.
Okay, all right,
Fair play.
very good. I've got an oldie that I'm going to mention while Inside Man secretly messages me in the private chat his choices for today.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah.
I was doing so. I actually went back to work for the first time this week, and or Friday, I think it was, and I thought, well, I'm going to have something on in the background while I'm proofreading my Magnificent Seven script, and then I was writing the forward for it, and I had to check some things, and one of the things I saw was that Eli Wallach, who of course played the bad guy in the Magnificent Seven, had also played a villain in another Western, and I was surprised to learn that that was shot after he did the Magnificent Seven, because I you know, sort of you wouldn't have thought he was going to do another one after that. But he was in How the West Was Won, and I watched the trailer and I thought, you know what? I remember seeing bits of this movie as a kid, but I've never seen this movie all the way through. So okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch it, and it's basically broken down into four, I think it's 3 or 4 separate stories, and each one's like an act in a play, basically. And the first one sort of tells the tale of people traveling by river and river pirates, and so that one's called The Rivers, and that's set in 1839. The second section of the plot is called The Plains, and that's set in 1851. The third act is the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865, and then you've got the fourth act is the Railroad, which is set in 1868, and then the fifth act and the final act is the Outlaws, which is the one that Eli Wallach's in, which is set in 1889. And there's one or two characters that kind of traverse all of those stories, or their sons do, or whatever. Okay, what's great about this movie and what makes it worth watching if you're a fan of the Western genre is it's got that John Ford epic shots thing going on. So, you know, you can imagine seeing this on the cinema in 70mm would have been really great. Some not so great, slightly dated of their time Indian costumes. But I mean, there's a whole host of actors of the day, including Carl Malden, popping up with this sort of playing a Mormon type character. You know, and I mean, it's a weird one. It's like individual scenes and individual bits of it are amazing, and then suddenly it's like, let's treat you to a hoedown, let's treat you to a song, and somebody breaks that into song, and I'm like, this isn't a musical, but it's shot in the context of someone performing in a bar, or hey, I'm going to sing for the troops, which is a little bit painful to watch. John Wayne turns up as I think Tecumseh Sherman's kind of number 2. But you know, if you're a fan of Westerns and you haven't seen it as an adult, it's definitely worth going back and rewatching just to see kind of which stars played which roles. There's a particularly good train sequence chase in the sort of final reel, with robbers trying to steal gold on a train and trying to jump on the train, and and it's probably one of those kind of classic scenes. But yeah, was I'd probably give it. I think it has aged badly in terms of the narrative, and some of these kind of spontaneous song moments just don't work. But then in terms of how it looks and the fact that films just don't get shot and made this way anymore, I've got to still give it a 7 out of 10. So I'm not sure which version of Napoleon that is, mate. If that's the 4-part French mini series, I have seen it. So yes, the original Morticia Addams has a really big role in this, and it's nice actually to see her doing something else. Yeah, good spot, Drew. Stuntman was very badly injured doing the train stunt. Yeah, I'm not surprised. But it's I mean, it's better than Gladiator 2. Yeah, so
it's not difficult.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen this for years, and to be honest with you, I mean, you know me, I love my westerns, whether it be spaghetti or other. I'd really like to see this again, so I'm gonna dig this out and give it another go. I remember enjoying it, and tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, though, Lance. In the late 70s, was there also a TV show of How the West Was Won with James Arness, or am I remembering that wrong?
No, you're right. It was with Bruce Boxleiter, and it was in 1978,
something like that.
Yeah, 73 it started, and it was shown on British television on Sundays.
Yeah, I thought it was James Arness for some reason.
No, it might have been Bruce Boxleiter was one of the actors in it. James Arness might have been the other one. I can't remember.
I thought James Arness was the star, but I might.
No, he may well have been. And there were two actors, and I think Arness was probably the other lead, because it was like it followed the story of two. It took the threads of this. One of the threads of this is two brothers, and I think they took that sort of narrative and expanded on it for the TV show. Yeah, there you go, James Arness. You're right. Yeah. And Bruce Boxleiter was the other guy. This was on. Do you remember High Chaparral?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so this was they used to show this, and then the High Chaparral. I can remember the theme tune to that, which was a great theme tune. Anyway,
Cameron Mitchell, wasn't it? It was.
Sorry about that, chat. But yeah, this is called the Maxians or something. I mean, yeah, it's basically the story of one family and a load of people around them. So it's kind of similar. I wouldn't mind going back and watching that miniseries, actually. Depending on, how well it's aged. Inside Man, that brings us nicely to you. I think you wanted to talk about the mechanic.
Yeah, it was actually Toxic that sort of tweaked a little bit of something really last week when I was talking about Violent City.
You don't want to let Toxic tweak your parts. That's never a good idea.
And he, he said, is it better than the mechanic? And I said yes, and I still say yes, that Violent City is better than the mechanic. However, having watched the mechanic again, and I'm talking about the Charles Bronson, Jan Michael Vincent mechanic.
Yeah, not the Jason Statham.
Yeah, not that one. Thank goodness. But
be careful, guys. We have Jason Statham on the panel tonight.
But this is a great film. It's a great film. I mean, in spite of it being directed by Michael Winner.
He did a couple of good movies. His early stuff mainly.
Yeah, I mean, it's more to do with I think his lack of care over the performers, in particular the stunt performers on his movies. He didn't really have much in the way of sympathy for any injuries, or he wasn't really aware of safety. He just wanted to get shots. But having said that, this is a terrific movie about a hitman who, gets a younger guy under his wing, yeah, this. Oh, I don't really want to give it away.
No,
If
that's
for
all right.
somebody who hasn't seen it, for anyone watching this who hasn't seen the movie, I really don't want to give too much away at all. But so Charles Bronson being the hitman, and Jan Michael Vincent being the young fella that he takes under his wing, a job goes wrong, and I really don't want to say too
No, yeah,
much.
don't say any more, because
Yeah,
actually I haven't seen this since I was a kid.
yeah,
Just looking at the trailer, I think, oh, you know
yeah.
what? I'd quite like to watch this again.
Yeah, there really is some great stunts. I think it was Alan
Yeah.
Gibbs, I think, did a fantastic motorcycle stunt. Actually, there's a great motorcycle chase, and and the way they did this stunt, the way this guy performed this stunt was quite something.
It was PG.
Was
Oh my
that?
God.
I know
Yeah.
that, and back then that could almost be a Certificate X movie, because things got rated for violence quite highly back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, is this
yeah,
the film he met Jill Ireland on?
No, he actually, he met Jill Ireland whilst making The Great Escape, because David McCallum introduced him to his wife when she came on location. And of
Hang
course
on, was Jill Ireland previously married to
David
McCallum?
McCallum? Yeah.
Oh my God! So he stole David McCallum's wife.
Well,
Yeah.
she jumped ship. Let's not judge. She jumped. Sometimes they jump ship, Lance. Sometimes they
Well,
just jump ship.
listen, I'm very aware, because I am that ship in this scenario.
Yikes.
So but yeah, well, not this scenario, but a parallel scenario some time ago.
I hear you.
Yeah, I remember this picture of Vincent and Bronson back in the days when they could both comfortably get into scuba gear,
Yeah.
without it looking silly.
He was he was a handsome young man, a good actor. He certainly was a competent actor, and I think there was so many great things predicted for him, and so many things expected of him. I know that he was at one point in the mix for James Bond at one point, but obviously that wouldn't have worked.
No, I don't think so.
No, but he had a great look, and when he got his starring vehicle, which was Airwolf, that was the thing that really sort of propelled him into, I won't say greatness, but certainly
hurled him into alcoholism. But
yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
RRT and Z said that The Mechanic is a great thriller. I met Bronson's karate teacher, Tayuki Kubota, who was in it.
Yes, he
was.
was.
Just as quick, despite being 40 years older than he was in the film. In brackets, he beat the shit out of me, quite possibly.
I think he was one of three brothers that actually appeared in that as well. So,
right,
I think that there were three brothers of the same family, all stunt performers.
Right. Because it was a fair bit of it shot in. It looks like a fair bit of it was shot on location, not just the States.
I think there were some establishing shots and a few street shots that were shot in Italy.
Right.
I know it goes to Rome. So I do believe there's a famous Italian road that's been used so many times for so many chases and stunts. You see that in the film. That is in Italy, outside of Rome, but also.
Oh my God! There's Ernie, the famous stuntman. This is the guy who, in the Poseidon Adventure, he is the stuntman who falls into the ceiling.
Oh wow!
Doing that, and he's also the stuntman who plays the fireman in Towering Inferno that goes down on the scenic elevator that then gets blown off its rails, and Steve McQueen has to hold on to him when he's like falling out the side. Do you know what? Really famous stuntman. Sadly, I think he passed away during the pandemic, and I really wish I'd had the chance to interview him, because he had such an amazing career. He was one of the guys in Skydivers as well. So, which
right. Okay.
we talked about. This guy looks a bit stressed. He could be holding a mobile phone in that picture. I think he's upset that he hasn't got a mobile phone in 1972. He's like, "Where's my phone?"
20 years away from it, but yeah.
It's Doogie Howser, MD. What's going on?
Good hair.
This guy could be Doogie Howser's older brother. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, it is a very good film, and you know, I got a lot of affection for this. I mean, I first saw this not long after its release, to be honest with you, as a kid. My parents were quite adamant that I watch as many violent and horrific films as possible as a child.
Based good parents.
So, you know, yeah. So they, you know, they did well. But yeah, I do enjoy it.
This is one of the brothers, I think. Tak Kubota. He's still alive, and he was in Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
And Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, and yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
So he might be one of the three brothers that you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought there might be a bit more about him in here, but creator of the Kubotan keychain self-defense weapon. I'd love to know what that is.
There you go.
And Grandmaster of Gosuku Ryu Karate. Sounds like a plot for the next Karate Kid. So, okay. What would you give it out of 10?
Easy 9. It's one that I watch again and again. I do watch it quite regularly. When I say it regularly, probably every 6-7 months, something like that.
Nice.
I just love it. It's just a fun movie. It's a fun movie, loads of violence, and you know, what's not to love about that?
Well, indeed. You have another choice.
And I admired him, and I thought, yeah, you know, this guy's a good actor. And then I watched this, and again, it was a movie that completely knocked me off my feet in every respect. The writing was fantastic. Obviously, the direction was unbelievably good, but the acting was like nothing I'd seen. All round, every one of these actors is on their A game. Every one.
Yeah, I mean the whole build up to the confrontation.
Yeah.
With Christopher Waltz and DiCaprio.
Yeah.
You know, with that whole negotiation thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I forget the name of DiCaprio's character, but it's Candy. It's somebody Candy because it's Candyland. The delights of Candyland.
Yeah. Calvin Candy.
Calvin Candy. Thanks, Todd. And like, if he hadn't have, you know, been the big man, they all would have walked out of there happy. Instead of, you know, everybody practically dead except for Django. But it's I thought it was a great film, and I think was Tarantino's film before this Inglourious Bastards?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you see, right. So when that came out, I hated it. I have to say, but I didn't hate it. That's a strong word. I liked the individual scenes. Like it's almost like a film of kind of 4 scenes, and the dialogue was amazing.
Yeah,
but Tarantino kept going on about, I want to make my 5 Guys on a Mission movie, and how big a fan he was of Kelly's Heroes and so on, and Where Eagles Dare and all the rest of it, and you know, Inglourious Bastards is not a 5 Guys on a Mission movie. That's not what it is.
Yeah,
it's really Tarantino giving history the bird and saying, you know, screw you, I'm going to do what I want. And I think you can go back and watch it knowing that and appreciate its brilliance on another level. But at the time, I was so frustrated with it. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know?
So was I. I mean, I thought we were going to get, you know, a Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen kind of movie, you know. And it, at the time, it just didn't jive with me. I did not like it. For a long time, I didn't like it.
Same.
Because I disliked it for what it wasn't, not for what it was.
No. That's totally accurate for me too. And my view on it now is very different. But
yeah.
I
mean, I kind of like all that subversion of historical events when you know that it's, you know, that it is a fantasy movie, you know, and in essence, you know, it's a fantasy movie. I
would still love him to do a proper, you know, 7 Guys on a Mission or whatever. Just do the film about the mission, nothing else.
Yeah.
Because I think he'd do an amazing movie, because all of his action stuff is always so great.
Yeah.
It's so fast and so brutal, and
I completely agree. I mean, he's excuse me, he's one of the best action directors there is.
Yeah,
I mean, he really is a wonderful action director. I think the only other person that could conceivably come close to that would be Don Siegel, who's another superb action director. But this film though is really special. It's a really special film, and it was the first time when I really looked at what Tarantino has done, and I thought, shit, I'm gonna rewatch an awful lot more of Tarantino's stuff. So I went right back to the beginning and started again with Reservoir Dogs, works all the way through back to Django. And you can kind of see that there is a little bit of a cinematic journey there. It's not, it's not just a case of him emulating other directors and trying to, pull out tropes from other directors' works and, paying homage to other directors. You can see there's almost a learning among these movies. You can see the natural progression of his direction. And it really is. I mean, obviously, the guy had something there right from the very beginning. But this was the one that really was the bull kicker for me. This was the one that really kind of not just kicked me in the balls, but grabbed them, twisted them, and then stamps on them. It was just brilliant. Just a brilliant piece of work. And I think it's one of the best movies, one of the best Western movies ever made, and in my opinion, only.
It's great that Franco Nero's got a cameo in it as well.
Yeah. Also, what I enjoyed about this was Sam Jackson not playing the kind of character that he usually plays. He was the guy that you absolutely wanted to see die. You fucking hated him. I mean, I hated him more than anybody else in the movie.
And there's a lot of testimony in Black American history of, I don't want to use the inappropriate language, but those who got to live in the house and had the kind of the nicer jobs in what would you call those places, plantations, would look down upon the other slaves that worked on the fields and treat them like a subclass kind of thing. That kind of order of hierarchy became quite common, and you can well believe that sadistic people like that with that kind of attitude existed. And his character was absolutely horrible. It's great to see him play that kind of role.
Yeah. I mean, he may take everything that's offered to him, and fair play to him for that. I mean, Michael Caine did exactly the same thing, because you never know as an actor when the work is going to dry up. So why not? Why not take anything that's offered to you if it's gonna build your next house? If it's gonna provide for, members of your family. If it's gonna, as Michael Caine had said, that Jaws. I'd never saw Jaws: The Revenge, but it built a lovely swimming pool for my mum.
Yeah.
But that's
damn.
But it's
so. What would people well, Inside Man, you can go first. What would you give this out of 10?
This has got to be one of my high 10s. I mean, this is a 10 plus. I think it's an absolute gem. It's a real gem. It's going to be a classic for decades. This movie, I love it. I adore this film.
My rating is the same. This goes to 11. It's an 11 out of 10 from me. So Stupenzo.
I'd say a 10 also. Might be best Quentin Tarantino movie, best one of the best westerns, best Leonardo DiCaprio role. It's just a great, best Jamie Foxx movie, right? Like what else is it? It's a good one.
Northern.
I would give it a 9 out of 10. It is probably one of the more accessible Tarantino movies, because some people don't always like his films because it's so dialogue heavy, but this one kind of balances the heavy dialogue with some good action and some good pacing. And I'd give it a 9 out of 10 because it does go down a little bit during the end when Christoph Waltz refuses to shake his hand, and I'm like, mate, you won. You've just won here. Please, just don't do anything. Just swallow your pride and do it. But no, he shoots him, and it all goes to kaput. And I'm like, damn. But it's still a very strong film. It's still very funny. Leonardo DiCaprio is in one of his best roles. It is so different to the parts he usually plays. He is just he's so slimy, he's so smug, he's so despicable. But he's just really having fun playing this role. And
yeah, I mean, you knew him and Tarantino were going to work again after this.
Yeah, Tarantino seems to be DiCaprio seems to be better when he's got Tarantino, because same thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's got such a pathetic vulnerability to him in that film, and you do almost feel sorry for him that he's a washed up actor. But back to Django Unchained, Christoph Waltz is very good as well. He's really having fun. He's relishing this role, and he is so funny, and he feels very believable at the same time when he's giving this dialogue. And the dialogue seems very consistent to the characters. I mean, the lines that Christoph Waltz is given, I mean, you could never hear Django say those lines, and same thing for vice versa.
Yeah, and dialogue in the film is amazing.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the blood splats are genuine blood splats, and they are a little bit more exaggerated. I mean, they the Dutch splat, they really splat, and it's not CGI blood as well, which still happens a lot in movies even today. I'm so fed up of CGI blood splats. Give us something real. Make it a little bit unsettling to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean his squibs in this, especially in that last shootout, which I actually showed as a clip for one of my movie quizzes, I think 2 years ago, and a lot of people hadn't seen it, and they were like watching, going, "Oh my god!" where all the wounded guys were getting shot again and again, and so well done.
Yeah, DiCaprio's poor life is just lying on the floor bleeding, and these guys keep accidentally shooting him.
I like the way Tarantino wore a cowboy hat on set. Good shout.
Oh yeah. He has the West Australian accent. I was like, I've got some dynamite for you, black baggers. I do.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Although I got to admit, I mean, when you think of the very first choice of Django, which was Will Smith, I mean, I think to myself, thank Christ, there is a God. There really is a God, and Will Smith didn't do it. Apparently, he said that he would do it provided he could change his dialogue and rewrite a lot of his scenes.
Of course, he said that.
Yeah,
of course he said that.
Tarantino said, "Fuck off, mate."
Yeah.
This is a Tarantino film. It's going to say written by Quentin Tarantino because I wrote it, and your job is to speak the lines that I wrote. You self-entitled prick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well said. I like that version of you, Lance. I want more of that.
But seriously though, like if you're working with, there are probably 10 directors we could, if we went down a rabbit hole, you could put and say, wow, these are people at the top of their game. Any actor should be chuffed, especially if the director has approached them saying, hey, I've got a part for you. I've written, and it's a writer director, and they've got, it's not like Django Unchained was Tarantino's second movie. I think he was on, what was it, his 6th or 7th, maybe 8th movie by then?
Seven.
Yeah, so it's not like he was untested. I think that just underscores, if it's true, and to be fair to Mr. Smith, we're probably all only going on rumor, but if it was true, just goes to show the idiotic self-importance and arrogance of the person. Because if a director of that caliber is saying, I've got a part for you, I've written it, the first thing you say when you read the script isn't, I'm going to rewrite the dialogue, though. What a fucking insult. Well, I'm not going to tell you how to act.
It is actually well documented, and it's from Tarantino's own lips. So
right, okay.
I think it's probably worth believing.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, based on how Will Smith has behaved, in public, I think, you know, yeah. So there we are. But
did we hear Tox's score?
Yeah, Tox, what's your score for this movie?
If Hateful Eight didn't exist, it'd be a 10 out of 10. But I gotta give Hateful Eight a slight lead on it. But I do love this
movie.
Yeah. This is the first movie I watched when I came home from Iraq. Like this, literally, like waiting at the airport, or right after the airport, waiting to watch something, or waiting to get my room, I guess, and yada yada yada, getting all my luggage, and watched this film. It's
a great sort of nice, pleasant, non-violent film for you to watch once you've come back from Iraq.
Just help you wind down, yeah.
Wind down from that PTSD, you know, just chill, watch something nice.
Listen, you don't get PTSD if you're a sociopath. 1, 2, Iraq and a lot of the Middle East places are embargoed. Oh boy, I've set him off. Are embargoed countries, so you don't get to see certain things. So I could only see it when I was back in the States. So this was one of my first little treats to myself.
Oh yeah, no, well, great film. Yeah, I got to see it with Alison on its release, and remember we were both raving about it. So
first time I got to see Don Johnson playing a bad guy.
Yeah, he was great in it as well.
He's great in it. He's like unintentionally funny. Like some of his stuff is some of the most unintentionally funny shit in the whole thing. I like the Klan being played for laughs, because really are they. I mean, I realize they're responsible for a lot of horrific things, as you know, as well they should be. But you got to acknowledge the fact that they're all. I mean, they're really ridiculous. I mean, they're just a ridiculous group, and the whole I can't see my potato sack. These
I watched my wife cut all those eye holes, and you could at least show some
No
gratitude.
one said Jenny didn't do a good job.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great scene with what's his name, and
Jonah Hill, isn't it?
Yeah, Jonah Hill, and I think he did that part for scale. I read somewhere, just because he wanted to work with Tarantino so bad, and he said, "Yeah, look, you know, I'll do it for scale. Just like get me in the room."
It says exactly. It confirms exactly what you said earlier. You know, if you have these kinds of directors, that, you know, why on earth would you not want to, you know, go all out and do everything that they ask of you?
Oh, I think it's it's that whatever complex you want, a God complex, isn't it? It's like everybody should be bowing down to me. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like acting is like any other job. You know, you got to do it, turn up on time, do it well, be truthful, and, you know, listen to the advice you're given from your betters. You're not the most important person on the set. The most important person on the set is the caterer, first of all. So no, they are, because if there's no catering, there's no movie.
You can always send out for pizzas.
No, if there's no catering and the catering on a film isn't good, trust me, the film production.
You're both pretty.
Tell that to the DOP.
So I'll give you an example. So they were filming The Spy Who Loved Me in Egypt, and the food was awful. And the crew basically were about to go on strike. People were getting food poisoning from the local cuisine, all the rest of it. So Cubby Broccoli, he ordered a load of 2 trucks to come with all this frozen steaks and stuff like that from Europe. Came down to
loads of pasta as well.
No. That's the next bit. The people in Egyptian customs, they stole it all. So the trucks turned up, they were empty. So so the next day he went into town. Yeah, he basically got all these tomatoes. He bought all the pasta that he could find at the market, and he personally cooked up basically an equivalent of spaghetti bolognese for the entire crew, and he cooked it himself in front of them all. This is the producer. That's a producer who understands that catering is the engine of a film set, because people look like an army marches on its stomach, and a film is made by an army. So
the thing is, if you take
no, Inside Man signals something happened. It's cut out. So anyway, great. All right, let's move on from this film. Sorry. Oh, look, he's back. Good.
So if you take the caterer out of the equation, you can always bring a lunchbox.
Yeah, you. But who wants to bring a lunchbox to a film set?
I've done it myself. I've been on productions where we've done it ourselves, and we've had a perfectly adequate production.
Well, anyway, I tell you now, people remember the catering.
Oh yeah,
and they're always happier. So
I've had some great food.
Yeah, and it's very true on an independent film. Don't ever cut funding to your food budget. You know, make sure if you're paying people low rates, make sure that the catering is top quality, because then they appreciate it. They appreciate it. Good advice, believe me. All right, okay. Moving on from that rabbit hole, I know that Northern, being the man of the 70s that he is, also wanted to talk about life on Mars. Did you not, sir?
Yes, and I've also just watched Ashes to Ashes, the spin-off, which is set in the 80s. But we are talking life on Mars. So.
Let's cover life on Mars. Do you want to give everyone a quick overview of it?
Yeah, so it's about a modern-day police officer named Sam Tyler who unfortunately gets run over by a hit-and-run felon, and he wakes up somehow in the 1970s for some reason, and the fact that he's a very modern-day liberal copper, and he has to sort of work with all these police officers in the 70s who are a little bit sexist, a little bit, always drinking, smoking fags and everything, and are very educated in his very liberal ways, is kind of a bit of a pain from him, but he does kind of end up finding some kind of common ground, and he does kind of end up teaching some of the coppers some of his ways as well. It does a very good job of having this very chalk and cheese relationship between him and very brass, hard nose, no nonsense, old school superior Gene Hunt, who is an absolute legend. He gets
that's Philip Glenister, isn't it? The plays that part,
Philip Glenister, who is obviously having a ball playing this role. He is so good. He is proper full-on alpha compared to Sam Tyler, and it does a good job of balancing out that sometimes he starts to see that maybe Gene Hunt's way may not always be the most rudimentary way of police operating, though, because sometimes criminals do sort of take advantage with the bureaucratic side of the law, and Sam Tyler starts to realise sometimes his more liberal way of tackling criminals might not always be the one that leads to the most fulfilling results, and it does a very good job. It's like fish out of water. He references things from the future that puzzles his other workers. I mean, there's a part where Gene Hunt slams crashes his Ford Cortina into a bunch of dustbins, and he's like, Starsky and Hutch has a lot to answer for, and he's like, who?
Yeah, because it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, and occasionally they do clash. Gene Hunt thinks he's a little bit of a noncy girly because he's so a bit forward thinking with women, even to the point where he hires one of the female secretaries to be one of the police officers, and she complains that she has no experience with a firearm, and Gene Hunt's like, this is why you don't have female as police officers. You give a guy a gun, it's a dream come true. You give a girl a gun, she complains it doesn't go with her bloody dress. Now grow some balls and start being a police officer. I forgot the line, but it's...
you were doing well there. You cocked it up at the end there. You were on the flow there.
Yeah.
But I've got a theory that this is actually, maybe I'm kind of transposing this onto myself, that going back to 1973 where... beer and fags, cheap beer, sexism, and all that kind of stuff. I've got a feeling that might be his heaven, because it certainly would be mine.
Well, it's
For anyone listening, please note we don't take responsibility for our guests.
I'm kidding, everybody.
Was it totally appropriate to call them that back then, or they were okay with that word, or what was the?
Women seem to connotation more better back then.
Okay.
What's that?
Women were called birds, weren't they?
Birds. Oh yeah.
Birds.
Still call them birds.
No, I thought you meant the F word.
Frigid. What are you talking about?
Rhymes with tags.
Oh right,
Oh,
okay.
fags.
That's
you mean
cigarettes?
cigarettes?
Cigarettes.
Yeah,
But
and-
I mean, I think that was actually Inside Man subconsciously transmitting to us what his idea of heaven is like in a different sense.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
It does
I mean,
sort of lead to one of the most interesting aspects of it. You're wondering, is he in a coma, or is he all in his head, or is he insane, or has he actually gone back into the 1970s? It's very weird because he still hears little things like coming from his coma as well, and things from his childhood as well, playing to his subconscious, letting him know that is how his condition is.
Yeah. Well, it is 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
So how many episodes?
And I don't want to do a stream on this one day. I think it'd be a very good thing to talk
How
about.
How many episodes has Enzo got to watch?
14. 14. But if you want to include Ashes to Ashes, that's like 8 episodes for 5 seasons.
Right.
And it does sort of delve more into what this world is as well in Ashes to Ashes, especially in the final season, which you can probably argue gives away the mystery a bit too much, and Life on Mars probably ended on a much more ambiguous, fulfilling note. But I did still like Ashes to Ashes though, even though it started off a bit rough. But
does Ashes to Ashes give you a definitive conclusion then?
Confusing one, but I still did like it. But I think the ending of Life on Mars is a bit better because it still leaves a little bit more room for interpretation.
Yeah,
and I think even the other actors who were acting on it didn't know about the ending in Ashes to Ashes because even the guy who plays Chris Skeleton, who's the more naive sort of like the weedy one, but at the same time he does show potential that he can be badass when he needs to.
The naive young cop you're talking about.
Yeah, he's sort of kind of the Ponzi one a little bit though as well. He's like he's not really the toughest copper, but he is very funny and very likable. And he did say that I think Gene Hunt and Ray and Chris are sort of like parts of the personality of the person that is in the coma, because deep down parts of us are like Chris or like Gene or like Ray.
Okay.
But,
what's your overall rating out of 10 for these 2 shows individually?
Oh, I will give a 9 out of 10 for Life on Mars. It does have its flaws. There's probably still some inaccuracies with the 70s. There's been a few people saying, well, that stuff that happened in Manchester in 1973, that did not happen, blah, blah, blah. We never called our superiors Gov or anything like that. But and Ashes to Ashes, I probably will give a little bit of maybe 7.5 because it started off a little rough. Keeley Hawes wasn't as likable in the first series as John Sim was as Sam Tyler, because Sam Tyler was had a bit of an everyman vibe to him, while Keeley Hawes' character Alex was a bit of a posh lass. But she did eventually grow with the second series, and she does actually have some good sort of Will Day Wortley chemistry between Gene Hunt. She's kind of a liberal.
She's a bit underrated, Keeley Hawes, I think.
Yeah, I think she got better as the series went on. She had a bit of a liberal feminist vibe to her, and she's having to team up with this sort of very sort of like shamelessly sexist alcoholic big burly bloke who they do occasionally end up finding common ground, and I do like that. I like that clash of our deals with these two.
I mean, Gene Hunt's character really does owe an awful lot to the Sweeney, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Basically, he's John Thor's character.
He is, yeah.
The thing is that he based his character more on football manager Brian Clough more than Regan.
This actor who played the butler in the movie The Queen with Helen Mirren, Roger Allen.
He's very good in this second series. He really is.
Married to the sister of a friend of mine, Warren Sire, who I was in Bugsy Malone with, and I wrote the male lead for my Judi Dench film script for Roger Allen to play opposite Judy, because I knew that they knew each other. And for him to be the object of her romantic affections, you know, in the script. So yeah, so good to see quality actors turning up in Life on Mars.
Yeah, they really got some good actors into this. Though. I mean, even Keely Hawes' husband, Matthew McFadden, is on this as well, and he's really unrecognisable in his mullet and his tracksuit. And talking in a big Brummy accent, they keep moaning me about my bathtub. No, he's very funny in this role. It's like
you heard it here first. Yeah. So you know, actors, if you're not sure what a Brummy accent sounds like,
yeah, Birmingham accent. I mean, you got to love Ray as well with that perm job. He was
look no further.
Yeah, there he is right there. He's quite a very suave looking guy in real life, and we've seen him look a bit suave in Deadpool and Wolverine, but he plays it so well you almost forget that's him.
There's Toby, what's his name? From Pride and various other films.
Yeah, Being Human, and he plays the gay boyfriend to a gangster that Gene Hunt is out to hunt. It's there's a very funny bit where Chris finds a butt plug and is like, "They seem a bit too big for your ears, aren't they?" And he's like, "Wrong orifice." It's like, it goes up your ass.
I remember that scene actually. Yeah, yeah, good show. This clown guy is like a bad guy from an episode of Doctor Who, but
yeah, it's like a reference from Ashes to Ashes video, isn't it? Because it's their subconscious, and I like this actor as well who plays Martin Summers. He's above.
It's David Bradley who was in.
Yeah, that's David Bradley. I'm talking about the actor that was above him.
We did the big stream on Our Friends in the North, and I talked about Bradley extensively. I love David Bradley. I think he's an amazing actor. Sorry, the one you were talking about was.
He's in Line of Duty as well. Very Irish actor, and he's sort of like this mysterious guy who's also basically in a coma and he's landed in this world, and he's sort of like he's like trying to. He's trying to convince Alex to be corrupt, and we found out a bit more about him and why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, and, Adrian Dunbar. Yeah, fantastic actor, great presence, really good charisma. So did you see the American remake of Life on Mars? I bet that was awful.
I did watch the unaired pilot, and it's really not that good. I do like Colomini as Gene Hunt in the pilot, but who later got replaced by Harvey Keitel. But you can really tell it's.
Yeah,
and I don't.
Meany's a good choice actually for that.
No, I think he would have been a better choice for Gene Hunt than Harvey Keitel. Because Gene Hunt's a pretty big guy, and Harvey Keitel, he's very jacked, but he doesn't look that big compared to Philip Glenister, at least not on screen. How tall is Harvey Keitel anyway?
I think he's about 5'8".
Yeah, and Philip Glenister looks pretty taller. He's a very hulking looking guy.
So we've had some other things happen in the news this week. I believe there was a big event in America yesterday.
Oh, yeah. TikTok is no longer banned. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Snow day. Snowed. That's the big thing.
Well, two things happened. It snowed in Texas.
Winter Storm Enzo.
Snowed in Texas.
Winter Storm Enzo. Yeah. Winter Storm Enzo.
So TikTok is down. But I've heard it may be restored by your new leader fairly quickly.
It got knocked down and it got up again.
Yeah. So it is already. Yep. It's already back.
It's down for less than a day.
Yeah, unless you have OCD and don't like useless apps that don't work, and you went ahead and just preemptively deleted it off your phone, and now you're living in a world of regret because you can't re-upload it.
Yeah, Lord Toxic can't re-download it because it's not back up on the.
Oh wow! Way to thanks Enzo. Way to fucking put me out there. Great.
DOS. Yeah, excellent. Okay, fantastic. Well, we're coming up towards the end. It is still January. I'm sorry to inform everyone, but
couple more weeks.
It's also my little birthday today.
Nah.
So by that, I mean that I celebrate my birthday on the day I was adopted, which is the 18th of July. But the day I was born was actually January 21st, which is today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. The good news is that now I've alerted you that I celebrate my birthday on the 18th of July. You have many months in which to pull together financial funds into a pool to purchase me that Lego Mos Eisley Cantina super sexy set for my birthday present, which I'll display proudly on the relevant stream at that time. So you heard it here first, chat. We set it in motion. I got the Death Star about 5 years ago. Let's see if we can make the Mos Eisley space.
Hard to believe. 35 years ago today, little Lance was born. That's amazing.
I know, 35 years ago. Yeah, that's exactly it. So you're so bang on with that. So thanks, guys. But I do celebrate it on the 18th of July, so I probably will have some sort of official birthday thing. The reason I don't celebrate it this time is, I mean, my parents who adopted me are my parents. That's one thing. But younger Lance said, my birthday's too near Christmas. This sucks. I need a bigger gap from when I get presents. When was I adopted? And my dad went, 28th of July. Great. I'll celebrate it then. And my dad misread the print on the adoption form, because they were back in the 70s. They were all handwritten, right? So on the form, the one, because it was written, like in Sanskrit, looked like a 2. So when my dad quickly looked at the papers, we had this kind of like desk, one of those desks where the thing folds out and it turns into an actual desk, like an old antique sort of filing I forget what you called them. They had a name anyway. And of course, he just glanced at it quickly. But I found the papers in 2021, and that was when I realized it wasn't the 28th of July. It was actually the 18th of July. So I've been celebrating it on the wrong day for the best part of like 30 years. So I celebrated it on the right day for the first year in, I think it was 2022. So there you go. So, and also very important that the first ever Star Trek convention took place in 1972. Inside Man was there. He was a Klingon on the door doing security.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have been 5 at that time.
Yeah. So he was like the baby.
5 years old.
He was like the baby Klingon with the Klingon family. So yeah. So bit of a weird day. Little birthday on a Tuesday. Not the high point of the week. So what else do we have coming up? This Friday, myself and the Inside Man are going to be talking about the 2 Sweeney movies, Sweeney 1 and Sweeney 2. Took them ages to come up with those 2 titles. But yeah, so these both came out in the 1970s. And we're going to be sort of doing a little breakdown of both of those and talking about them. And that's going to be like an episode of Chew the Fat, so where we kind of talk about one or 2 films in a lot more detail and ultimately give our thoughts. And they are films of their time, so it's going to be, I'm going to be rewatching both of them, especially for the stream. So it's going to be interesting to see how they've aged. In particular, Inside Man, have you seen them both recently?
I've not seen them recently, but I have them now. I have both of them now, and I'll be watching one of them tonight and the other one tomorrow night. And I'm also going to grab hold of all 4 of the TV series as well. So
is it 4 seasons? Are there
4 seasons? Yeah, I believe it's 4 seasons. Yeah,
right.
But the original pilot episode, Regan, is actually on YouTube for free. If
That's
anyone
right.
wants
It was called Regan, wasn't it?
Regan,
I remember that now. Yeah. And I think that got didn't that get kind of like they tested that, but then that then didn't get released until later. Am I right in thinking that, or
I couldn't say, mate. I really don't know. But that sounds about right. It looks like it maybe sort of tested reasonably well, but not as well as they had expected. But you can see why they changed it to the screening.
Oh no, absolutely.
And had the double acts of John Thor and Dennis Waterman.
Yeah, fantastic. That's going to be happening on Friday, so should be a bit of a hoot. If there's any updates on the UFO stuff, obviously I'll be jumping on and doing extra streams about those as well, because as we know, your new president, my American panelists, is in favor of disclosure, maximum disclosure of all UFO topics and so on. So I'm if he actually...
island-related lists as well.
Please elaborate, Stupenzo.
No, I'm doing it, David Lynch.
You don't? Are you sure you want your stream getting shut down?
Well, no. I mean, he has said that's what he's going to do. I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking just like I'm interested in UFOs. If it's all going to come out on Trump,
sure, UFOs, he's going to talk about JFK as well. RFK,
so declassifying all the files, right?
Allegedly. Okay. You see, he was already in the White House. He saw everything. He knows the secrets. So now that he's back, he's not playing around. Especially when you look at the difference of his presidential portraits from this time and the last time. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, well, interesting. I wait with bated breath to see what's going to come out.
Oh yeah, we might find out what those drones flying around New Jersey were all about soon too.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
We may see a return of Lord Toxic to the United States military, because I've written to our new president asking him for a pardon. Presidential pardon ought to get me back in the service. So let's all
Well, if the Proud Boys can get off, I'm sure he can sort you out. RRTNZ for $5. Happy birthday, Lance. Chuck Norris can checkmate you in a game of Monopoly and win Pictionary using finger paints. You're right, he can, because I've played him at both of those games and I lost. Fantastic. So, Stupenzo, what you got coming up? Plug your shit, buddy.
We watched the Chilling.
Yeah, I probably didn't phrase that very well. now I think about it.
I think you phrased it perfectly, Lance.
Yeah, it's what Uninspired Reviewer says all the time.
Plug your shit. So Stupenzo, plug your channel. What you got coming up?
We watched the Chilling. The Chilling was about a bunch of celebrity body cadavers that are being kept in a cryogenics lab, and they all reanimate due to a stupid lightning storm. So you've got thawed, reanimated zombies running around, but they're like, the corpses of Walt Disney and Michael Jackson and stuff.
Well, that's a movie.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't really play on the whole celebrity angle. All the zombies just kind of look like, rubber monsters. But man, it would have been funny if it was like, Charlie Chaplin and, the Three Stooges, and all them. That would have been good. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But the movie's got Dan Haggerty in it and Linda Blair. So it's awful.
Oh, Linda Blair. Bless her.
Okay. But yeah, it's all frozen over. So we watched a cold movie, The Chilling. Is stupid. Enjoy that tomorrow.
Fabulous. Okay.
Have you got any of your English breakfasts lined up at all?
Just did one.
Did you?
We did one. Yeah, we did one yesterday for the inauguration at like noon. So it was fun. We just kind of goofed off.
Cool.
Has anyone seen the William Tell movie? Aaron mentions here.
No.
Swiss Braveheart style movie. I don't think I've seen that. There is a company making kind of low budget. They might have done a Robin Hood one and this and that, and they're all awful. But I don't know if it's the same company as that. This is the one with Connor Swindles in, I'm assuming.
So it says Swiss Braveheart.
Directed by Nick Ham. Ben Kingsley's in it. Is his wife in it? I always like to check to see if his wife is also in the movie. Yeah, I mean, 5 views. I'll tell you what, let's have a quick look. I'm curious about this now before we go. Because I do like my historical stuff. So, this looks like Vinnie Jones behind a crossbow. What's going on here? So, Rafe Spall, Cole Shifton Fahani, Ellie Bamber, Emily Beach, and Jonathan Price and Ben Kingsley. I'm guessing they've got kind of walk-on roles. But it's only just dropped, so there's 5 user reviews. Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
At what they say. Fun fight scenes cannot save this pretentious, somewhat bloated movie. Amazing action movie. 1 out of 10. Must depend on your interest in violence. Saw this a few days ago at the Palm Springs Film Festival. Not my cup of gore. My husband, who likes action films, said it was the most violent film he'd seen in a long time. And a friend accompanying us said it was the most violent film she'd seen in her life. I had my eyes closed for a great deal of the film, so maybe I'm an unreliable narrator, you think?
Yeah, they're selling it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm signed up now, so thanks for that, whoever that was. Maria Zumanian. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's, could be good. We'll see, I guess. Some 13 critic reviews, but hey, we never listen to them. So, William Tell, Drew.
It's not 10 hours long, so it's got that going for it.
Well, there you go. Northern, what you got coming up?
Friday, I've got Fandad Menace to discuss the Road Warrior, Mad Max 2.
Mate, I've got the vinyl for that.
You got the vinyl for everything. I'm not surprised, but yeah, it's definitely a really good sequel. Probably one of the best sequels out there. It's up there with Empire Strikes Back.
It's the best Mad Max film. Full stop.
It is. It's definitely the best Mad Max movie, and it's got one of the best chases ever made as well with the tanker truck, and it definitely does improve on the whole mythology that George Miller created. We see Mad Max is much more stoic. He's much more removed humanely a little bit as well, but there's still hints that there is still that good guy in there somewhere. And I just love how everything's just gone to shit. Everyone's just going crazy. Everyone is just every man for himself. Yet there's still this little community still trying to hold on to that little bit of humanity. And once again, I know I've said it just earlier, but the chase is just brilliant. It is so intense. It's so suspenseful, and you can see real shit is happening as well. Stunts are really things. Things are really getting messed up. You can see the stunt performers are really risking themselves doing all this dangerous stuff. It is brilliant. It's still brilliant, and I still love it, and I cannot wait to talk about it this Friday.
Is that the first time you've seen it?
No, I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, because that was, from what I remember, Mad Max 2 was one of the first we'd all heard about it, but everyone was talking about it at school, and it was like one of the first 8, because it was an 18, if I remember rightly.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of brutal stuff, even though it is mostly hinted at more than ever, especially the scene where the people who live in the gas station is basically gripped by the gang that Mad Max has to help them escape from.
So at one of the first games conventions I went to, I played this on the tabletop with these kinds of miniatures. It was absolutely amazing. And you were either one of the people in the truck or you were one of the people trying to stop the truck. And man, yeah, it was a ton of fun. So see the poster for the Terminator in the background on the road there. It's cool, isn't it? Look at that, like those kinds of details. And then somebody else did one for the chase scene in the new Mad Max film with all the Tom Hardy vehicles, from that version. and they actually had the guitarist guy. They had some kind of special effects on the model so that it shot the flame out, kind of lit up in miniature. It was really clever. So yeah, Mad Max, man, that was one of the first 18s I ever saw on. It would have been an X when it came out in the cinema in the UK.
Yeah.
That was one of the first X's I saw on video, which I neglected to tell my parents I'd seen. I probably should have included that in Silver Screen Journeys, but until you mentioned it today, I completely forgot about it. So gaps in the memory are still there, unfortunately. Great. So that'll be a great stream. Tox, anything you want to plug?
This Friday, I guess Blue Collar and I are doing Flight Risk, the new Mark Wahlberg thriller with Topher Grace and Michelle Dockery.
The trailer for that's actually quite good.
That was a Mel Gibson movie. Mel Gibson film. It's directed by Mel Gibson.
I watched the trailer and I was like, this trailer is telling me too much about the film. That was the thing that annoyed me.
So it's going to be good.
But it looked all right. Looked all right.
Yeah, I like a psychotic bald Mark Wahlberg. I like that. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Maybe he's going to act in this one, which would be good. I haven't seen him act in anything since 1997, so it'd be kind of cool for him to not play Mark Wahlberg in the film. So that'd be pretty dope.
I thought he was pretty good in Patriots Day. I mean, he was.
To be fair, I didn't see that. I did like The Fighter though. I'm just being kind of a
watch Patriots Day. It's a really good movie. I actually want to do a Peter Berg stream.
Yeah.
I want to do some streams dedicated to directors, and that's one of the first ones I want to do.
That's fair. Unfortunately, with my family on my mom's side, all from Dorchester, Massachusetts, I have this annoying habit when we start popping on Boston flicks, my accent starts creeping up out of nowhere, and it's almost I get wicked smart, and I want to go smack somebody in the head up against the blah blah. So
I can imagine why anyone in your house immediately therefore turns off the television as soon as
when we did some Boston movies, Enzo and Blue Collar would mute my mic to basically just shut me up a little bit. So
well, I want to thank everyone for coming on. We've had great presence in the chat. We've had a few new people come on. We have new people every week, which is great. I'll always try and say hello to you. This is the fun time when I can still do that. My goal is to hit 10,000 subs by the end of the summer for 2025. So we'll see what we can do about getting there. Always a pleasure to see people. Thanks to the regulars for tuning in. You know who you are. It's great to see you here every week. Thanks to my amazing panelists, Lord of Toxicity, The Inside Man, Northern English Bastard, Stupenzo. I think we need a new opening credit sequence because Blue Collar Loser is missing in action by virtue of the fact that he works, unfortunately, now when we're streaming this show. For the most part. So. But the good news for Lord Toxic is he's kind of got his spot for the moment. So we'll just have to put up with that for now.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, shout out to the Critical Drinker for popping in with a little.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he's always a good sport. So just to what I decided.
You think Critical Drinker's seen Baps?
I don't know if he has, but send him a Blu-ray. I've done 97 industry interviews now. I've got 2 more booked, although one of them's quite a way away. It's in February. But for the 100th interview, I'm basically going to try and recreate to some degree interview number 1, which was myself, Drinker and Mauler, and Jason Flemyng. So I'm going to try and get everybody back in that was on that stream. Certainly the individuals that I've just mentioned, and see if we can sort of, do a kind of recreation of that, which I think will be fun. So that's the plan.
Where are they now, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, funnily enough, I think Drinker is bigger than all of us, including my guest. No, just kind of, we'll talk to Jace about what he's been doing since. he's just got back from filming Lord of the Flies with his 2 sons. So they were on location for the best part of 4 months out in Malaysia. So, you know, plenty of stories. So, yeah, there'll be lots to talk about, no doubt. Don't forget what I always say, which is do keep in touch with the people that you care about, especially in times like these, and reach out to them, let them know that you're here in case they need you. A good friend of mine lost their partner to suicide over the Christmas period. So the mental health thing is no joke, and extremely tragic event, which, you know, needless to say, we are all rallying around that person and supporting them. But just never hurts to say, you know, don't forget to reach out and call people, especially if you know someone's going through a tough time. Stuff like that. I do it probably 2-3 times a week at least to different people, and it's not a big thing. It's like a 5-minute call here and there. So maybe 15 minutes out of my week. It's not a big thing for me. Anyway, on that note, my congratulations, all commiserations, depending on which way you feel, to my American guests, and to my British guests. Oh well, we're still fucked. So do join us again on Friday. Myself and the Inside Man back for Sweeney and Sweeney 2, and we'll be back on Sunday, probably on Sunday for the next 2 episodes of The Shield. Until then.